Hello, sweet friend. My name is Micah, and in this video, I want to catch up with you and chat a little bit about all things journals. I know I haven't uploaded in quite a while and haven't been really consistent with that, and to a large part that is because I haven't been journaling consistently, and so things got a little wonky. And I think I found solid ground again. And so, yeah, I just want to update you and chat about journals and things. And I feel like a lot of people with the new journals and planners coming out for 2025 have been thinking about journals and journaling and what to potentially get for 2025. So, yeah, I hope that sounds like something you would like to watch and listen to. So, let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, I think part of this whole not journaling and not uploading videos is because I got a little tired of myself jumping from journal to journal, and there's nothing wrong with, of course, changing your journal. It is very much a personal preference, and sometimes we need to experiment with things to figure out what really works for us. But for me, it was getting to a point where I got really uncomfortable with this idea that I was spending more mental energy and more brain power on finding the perfect notebook and the one journal than I was actually journaling. And I just couldn't take it anymore. I wanted to use my time and my mental energy for other things. While simultaneously, I also think that there is something to be said about journaling in a notebook that brings you joy, where the format just really invites you to write down your thoughts and capture your memories and maybe be creative and things like that. So those things kind of coexist, and they do quail with each other, if I'm saying that right. So, that's a tough spot to be in. But I think with having sort of failed, if you can call it that, at both the dated A6 as well as the dated A5, I was realizing that I need to let go of the dated thing for a while. And maybe I might come back, because I do think there is something that happens with the design semantics of the dated page, where hopefully I can express this in a clear way. If I journal in an undated journal and the page doesn't have a date on it, I feel like the thing that I'm going to journal about needs to be worthy of taking up a page. That's, of course, not at all the case. You can jot down whatever you want, and just because it's a blank page doesn't mean that you can't also just throw down a random idea or this little observation that you've had or this small little moment that you really want to cherish. But somehow, to my brain, it feels less like wasting paper if the page is already dedicated to a day. So if I don't fill it up on that day, then it's going to go to waste anyway. So to me, the dated page really helps me to be a little bit more, almost in a way, less thoughtful about what I put down on the page. And so I'm able to capture more of the small moments and the little random stuff that I personally really enjoy reading back on in the dated pages. So keeping that in mind, I do want to figure out how to still have space for this kind of stuff and to help my brain to let go of some of the weird stories that I tell myself about undated journal pages. But yeah, for now, I'm letting go of the dated pages, and I also haven't ordered a new Hobonichi for the next year. Though I have an order coming in, it's not going to be for a dated journal because I feel too unsure about that. And I know that most of the time, especially just the Avec books, those are around year long. You can find them secondhand, so I don't feel rushed or pressured or like I'm gonna miss out on that if I change my mind. So letting go of the dated. And then I just, in my stash, I picked out this B6 sterling ink. It just has grit paper. And I had initially bought this to make this a cookbook, or a cooking, not a cookbook. Goodness, I'm not that creative in the kitchen. A cooking journal, because I thought that would be quite a fun way to really hone in on the craft and pay attention to what I cook and have some fun with ingredients and gathering recipes. I just find it very fascinating, and I think food is such a good collector of memories. But since I'm already not keeping up with any of the dated journals, I was like, there's no need for introducing another journal to my lineup. Like, maybe I should just calm down the like day-to-day journaling before I introduce anything else to the lineup. So I decided this is not going to be a cooking journal. I'm just going to use this as a creative journal. I printed out this beautiful pattern. This is by Erin Ware. And then I had these strips laying around, so I glued those down. And now I feel like there needs to be some sort of image here, but I haven't quite figured out what that is going to be yet. So TBD. And then I made a little collage here. I had ripped out a couple pages that I'd already used, and unfortunately the binding got a little wonkadonk there. I don't know if you can even see that, but it's maybe a little bit unsightly, but it's okay. We're rolling with it. I'm just, at this point, I'm just so desperate to be in a journal and be in it for months. You know, I just want to really get back into just capturing my thoughts and capturing memories and things like that, that I'm just not too fussed. And then, yeah, I just jumped right in, just wrote out some thoughts here. And then this one was really, really fun. I just drew, I don't know why there's an elephant. It has nothing to do with the journal prompt. This is a journal prompt by Erin Ware from her Patreon, which was quite fun to write about. But yeah, I just figured, well, but I'm feeling it, so why not draw all this out? Which, of course, is sort of a little bit of a time investment, but yeah, just had some fun with that. Yeah, just decorated this with some watercolor washes, and this is Tomoe River paper, so holds up pretty well. It's getting crinkly, but lays flat. And then here I wrote out some thoughts I had for my 2025 lineup. And I think this is still pretty up to date, what I have here. So obviously always have like a sketchbook or illustrated journal. And then I'm gonna keep going with the creative undated journal. And then what I'm thinking about maybe introducing to, again, deal with that dated, undated dilemma is to bring in a weekly notebook so that I can write down a couple lines for each day, but don't have to decorate a daily page. And then, yeah, just still have the small things, but don't be overwhelmed with what it takes in terms of the decoration creativity part. And then here I finished reading the book Legends and Lattes. I've been really interested in reading cozy fantasy books and seeing what that is all about in terms of the genre. And so here I'm keeping a list of things I've read, cozy reads. If you have suggestions, let me know. So far I've read The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune, and then I just finished The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst, and I'm now reading Howl's Moving Castle, which is quite fascinating because the book is quite different from the movie. But yeah, I wrote down some thoughts there, wrote down some notes about what to keep in mind if I was ever to write a cozy book. Not sure that's gonna happen, but we'll see. And then yeah, trying to play around with some layouts. So the one thing that I've also noticed is that though I love being creative with my pages and decorating them, illustrating, watercolor, you name it, the same goes for whenever I work in my traveler's notebook. I think the pages, they look so fun and cute, and I love looking at them. It's just, for right now, too much for me in terms of creative decision making. And that's not to say that I don't ever want to come back to something like this, or that from time to time I am gonna make more elaborate spreads. Right now I'm just trying to work on some personal projects in terms of illustrating a comic book and writing. So I want to save a little bit of more of my creative energy for that. And so what I realized is that I need to have less decisions to make in my journaling without it not being fun for me anymore, right? So I do love creative journaling. I want it to be creative. Just what can I do in terms of page layouts and grids and pre-made decisions that makes it a little bit more easy and a little bit more, okay, I can jump right in and I know exactly what to do. So here, yeah, I think you can see that I tried out just adding this like top section for, say, a topic, or here I stamped out the date, and then I created a little margin, but then the rest was sort of like blank space to journal and decorate. So that was sort of a very minimal invasion or minimal structure. And then I tried this out. This is inspired by Sarica Studio. I'm saying that correctly. She's here on YouTube. I have her linked, and something that she does so beautifully in her traveler's notebooks is she works in these blocks, I think you could call it, where she then separates the decoration from the writing. She also does that with photos, and then sometimes she also breaks out of the column and has like broader boxes or text, and she can be very flexible with these kinds of columns and boxes, depending on the content, I suppose. But she does that in a traveler's notebook, so obviously that's a little longer than what I have here, which means she has a little even more variety of how she can arrange things. But it's quite beautiful. But after I had done this spread, I already knew, okay, that, I don't know, something doesn't click with my brain with that. And maybe it's also just, again, too many decisions still to make. Like, how big is the box? And is this going to be filling up this space? And I don't know. So then I was like, well, the simplest way to structure these pages would be to have 2 columns and then just let it flow, right? And that seems to be working really well. For some reason, that just makes sense to my brain. I can have bigger collages, but I can also have just cute individual stickers. And personally, I don't think that they're drowning in the text. Like, it breaks it up nicely and they can still shine. But again, I can have bigger things. And then here I have another one of these prompt cards by Erin Ware, and replied to that, and have some collages here. And this goes even on top of the little line that separates the columns. I actually draw them in with pencil first, so that I can be flexible in terms of, so for example here, I drew out this box, and so I didn't need the line there. So yeah, that's quite fun. I think that works really well. And then here, my husband and I, we visited a Dollhouse museum. If you're ever in Kentucky, near Danville, Kentucky, then I can highly suggest going to the American Dollhouse Museum. It was so fun and lovely. I think they have over 200 dollhouses to look at. It's so gorgeous. Everything is so sweet, and you can just spend so much time just trying to find all the little moments that they've set up in the dollhouses. I actually collected a bunch of photos of just little moments with cats, of course. I have to pay attention to the cats, and there are quite a few. Mischievous cats at that. So yeah, here's just me trying this layout out with some more photographs, and I think it works out quite well. Again, I'm allowing myself to break away from the two columns, if that makes sense. So this taking up more space, but then, yeah, having the photos here on the side and breaking into the text. Yeah, I think that works quite well. And then something that I've also started to really enjoy is this combination of just having the main text in brown, and then using a different colored ink for side notes or for highlights. Yeah, that's quite sweet. So that gave me this page gave me a lot of confidence that this 2-column layout can work for quite a few different topics. Here, for example, I took a bunch of notes from a YouTube video that I watched about manifesting, and I have never come across a video about manifesting that was so, I would say, grounded, very much based on narrative psychology, and the basic idea being, if you want to change what you have, then you have to change your behavior. And if you want to change your behavior, you have to change your thoughts, because what we think we do and what we do we obtain, kind of that idea. And yeah, I'll link that video below if you're interested in that. I enjoyed that very much, and so I took some notes and yeah, wrote out some things that I would like to change for myself. And then here, another big memory keeping spread. We went to Nashville to see Passenger, and that was, I think, my favorite concert that I've ever been to. It was so very great. Passenger, Mike, is so very great, very personable, so funny, and I mean, the music is just fantastic. He was just by himself with his guitar, and you wouldn't have, like, you don't miss having a band. I mean, it's just incredible. And it was at this very famous venue, the Ryman, like a historic venue, so that was great. The audience was fantastic. He did quite a few very quiet songs, and the audience was so respectful, and they were all on board. I mean, it was just, yeah, it was just amazing. I don't know, just, I can go on and on gushing about it. But yeah, so again, I think that worked quite well. Here we have some pictures of my husband. Of course, being in Nashville, we had to go to a couple of record stores, and my husband was hunting for some CDs from his wish list. So yeah, very, very cool. And then, yeah, those were some notes from these last few days, just a little shorter. That's another thing that I think these columns are great at, is that, yes, I can do bigger spreads, but it also is very good at, how do I put this? Like, shorter things, it's okay. Like, I can just fill a column or even half of a column and then break it and go into the next thought. I don't have to feel this pressure that I feel with, say, the Traveler's Notebook, where everything, I don't know, I always feel like the thing needs to take up a whole page or a whole spread. And then again, I sometimes dismiss certain things. I don't journal about them because they wouldn't fill the space. And then what am I going to do with the rest of the page? That kind of stuff. Super easy here in this column layout. So, and I know that other people, of course, do columns in their notebooks. I'm not claiming this as something inventive or new. I'm just saying I've never tried it this way before for myself, and I'm finding that that is very agreeable to my brain, if you can call it that. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I might have found something that I can feel like I can keep up for at least the rest of the year or the rest of the notebook. That's something that I still haven't quite figured out for myself, is because with that, what I talked about with the weekly aspect, having like a weekly dated journal in conjunction with this, Sterling Ink does make the common planner where I would have enough pages for the entire year next year, and then in the front I could have the horizontal weekly, so I would have the week on the one side where I could just keep notes, and then the other side I could have 4 little ephemera bits, and then the bigger things or the undated journaling I could do in the back. That is quite tempting. The only thing there is that I don't think I'm gonna fill all of these pages by the end of the year. And so then, yet again, I would have abandoned a notebook, which I'm not sure what to do there. I think she's also coming out with these booklets, so then I could buy just a very slim notebook that only has the weekly section, because I don't know if she does the weekly or just the monthly, I'm not sure. But if she does the weekly, I could just buy the booklet with the weeks, have that in the front, and then just use up this notebook and feel really happy and good about finally having finished a journal again. There the only thing would be, okay, so then, but what if I'm running out of pages before the end of 2025 and then start a new notebook, but then if I don't fill that, then yeah, I don't know. You don't have that like sort of clean cut that you would get with the sort of dedicated journal for this year, and then the whole year is in one book. I'm not sure what to do there. Let me know if you have opinions about that, or what your thoughts are there. That's another thing that I've realized in all of my notebook switching is that I have this romantic idea of having everything in one book. Just having your go-to book that you take everywhere with you and that you guard with your life because it has all your thoughts and memories and sketches in it, and you have it in a special cover, and that makes it extra special. I don't know. That's very desirable to me and seems very romantic to me, but maybe the the real life is just a little different. I don't know. But something else that I wanted to show you, which doesn't necessarily have anything to do with this, but again, like I love A6 or even smaller passport size, so I can see myself maybe every now and again just dipping into one of these smaller books just to get the fun of working in smaller sizes. But the thing that I wanted to talk to you about here is that, and I don't think I've shown these pages before, but maybe I have, but I don't think so. Either way, this was from the beginning of the year in January. I was also playing around with really structured pages, really deciding on a layout and then just running with it. So you don't have to make decisions about how you're building the page, but you're just gonna have fun with what goes on the page. And in this instance, it was about combining just very little text with doodles. And so that was the format or the formula. Yeah, very formulaic, I guess. So you have the date up the top, and then you have this space to draw, and then just a really small text box. And so I did a bunch of pages with that, and had quite fun with that. And I think these look, though very minimalistic, they look very cute. So yeah, I just did that. And the weird thing about these really simplistic doodles is that, for example, this was on a walk. There were all these birds, and it just sounded like spring, all these birds singing. And I so vividly remember that, even though this is so simplistic. Also, this is the cutest bird I've ever drawn. So yeah, and this was great. Again, something that I stopped doing because, I don't know, But yeah, maybe I'll dip back into this. And so I made myself this, is that in here? Where is that hiding? I have a little paper. I think this is it, though I've changed it a little bit. Which I could lay underneath, like an underlay. So this is my text box, and then this is the drawing space, and then up here goes the date. And I think I drew this line all the way because I was trying to figure out if I liked that better, but I think actually just the date is enough. So yeah, and then I would just lay that underneath the paper so I can see it. Yeah, and then draw and journal. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to share that to say that I think these two examples show me that there's something to be said about being really firm or strict about certain aspects and having them predetermined and preset, but that doesn't mean that you can't feel creative and that you can't just capture your memories, but it just takes away some of the decision fatigue, because that's definitely something that I have been battling, I guess. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now. So I think for the rest of the year is gonna be working in this, and then I think I'm gonna, every now and again, when I feel the want for something cute, I'm gonna do this, and then maybe somewhere around here I have a passport insert, a blank one, so I might be doing some collaging and playing around with stickers in there if I want to do that. But the main journal, where everything goes and everything is documented, is gonna be this one right here. So yeah, that's just sort of the little update for now. Let me know if you have experimented with predetermined layouts. How strict are you with page layouts, or do you really enjoy designing every page anew and every time sort of doing new things, different things? I would be interested in how you approach all that and what you feel like fits your journaling needs the best. But yeah, that's it for this video, I think. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me, and until next time, happy journaling!